Have you ever worked so hard to become unbeatable, then realized your heart still felt unsafe? Have you ever wondered why winning in the world does not always mean winning inside yourself? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to tell you a long story set in an online game world where strength looks like everything, where a single piece of gear can change your destiny, and where one player rises so fast that people start calling him a legend. But the deeper story is not about levels and loot. It is about what happens when power arrives before wisdom, and how a person learns to carry strength with compassion instead of ego. The first idea is this: when you get stronger, your habits get louder too. If you do not train the mind, power amplifies impatience and hunger. The second idea is this: karma is not only a mystical word. Karma is the cause and effect of what you repeatedly choose. In a game world or a real world, the seed you water becomes the fruit you live with. It begins with a young man who did not feel like a hero in his daily life. In the ordinary world, he was not famous. He was not rich. He was not someone who could walk into a room and instantly command respect. He had a quiet face and a careful way of moving through life, like someone who learned early that attention can be dangerous. He worked hard, kept his head down, and tried to be dependable. But deep inside, he carried a feeling he did not say out loud. The feeling that the world was not fair, that effort did not always equal reward, and that he had to fight for every small inch of dignity. When the online game opened its doors, he joined for the same reason many people do. Not because they are lazy, but because they are hungry for a place where effort becomes visible. In the game, your work shows up as levels. Your skill shows up as victories. Your choices show up as reputation. It feels cleaner than real life because the feedback is immediate. He created a character and stepped into the starting zone like stepping into a second life. The sky was bright. The grass looked unreal. And the first monsters were weak enough to make him feel capable. He liked that feeling more than he wanted to admit. But the game was not a gentle dream. It was a battlefield disguised as entertainment. Resources were limited. Rare drops were rare for a reason. Guilds formed like small kingdoms, and small kingdoms formed like small wars. People lied, manipulated, betrayed, and smiled while doing it. The game was not separate from humanity. It was humanity with a different costume. He learned quickly. He farmed efficiently. He studied mechanics. He watched top players, not to worship them, but to understand their pattern. He was not a loud player. He was the kind who improves quietly while others are busy showing off. Then fate, or randomness, or karma depending on how you want to name it, dropped an event into his path. A rumor spread about a weapon that should not exist in the early stage. A sword that looked like it came from the underworld. A blade with a reputation even among people who had not seen it. They called it a hell sword, because its aura looked like darkness made solid, and because its stats were not just strong. They were unfair. Most players treated the rumor like a fantasy. Some chased it like gamblers. He listened, then moved, not because he believed in miracles, but because he believed in preparation. He traveled to a forgotten ruin where the rumor said the drop could appear. The place was dangerous for his level. The monsters were not polite. They punished mistakes, and there were other players watching, waiting to steal the reward if someone else did the work. He felt the familiar tension in his chest. The same tension he felt in real life when he knew he had to protect himself. He stepped in anyway. He fought through waves of enemies with patience. Not flashy, but consistent. He watched his health bar like he watched his breath, steady and aware. He positioned carefully, saved cooldowns, and refused to panic when things went wrong. After hours, he reached the core chamber. That is where the real test began. A boss appeared. Not only stronger than expected, but smarter. It punished greed. It punished impatience. It punished the habit of wanting to finish quickly. He died. He respawned. He returned. He died again. If you have ever trained in anything hard, you know this part. The moment where your pride wants to quit. The moment where the mind whispers, you are not good enough. The moment where frustration tries to become your identity. He did something different. He treated each death as information. He adjusted. He watched pattern. He learned it. He returned without hatred. That is already a spiritual practice. Even if he did not call it that. Returning without hatred is the beginning of a calm mind. Finally, he won. The boss collapsed with a heavy animation. And for a moment the chamber was silent. His hands were slightly shaking. Not because of the game, but because his nervous system was living inside it. Then, the drop happened. A dark blade appeared on the ground, glowing with a slow, ominous light. The Hell Sword. His heart jumped. He felt a rush so sharp it almost hurt. The mind immediately started building stories. I made it. I am special. I will crush everyone who looked down on me. And that is where the real danger entered. Because the weapon was not only power, it was temptation. He reached for it. The system confirmed the pickup. The stats appeared. The numbers were real. The advantage was real. Then he heard footsteps. Other players had been waiting. They stepped into the chamber with polite greetings that were not polite. They praised him while circling like wolves. They asked to see the sword. They suggested a trade. They offered gold. Then they offered threats in soft language. He understood instantly. In this world, if you are alone and you have something rare, you become prey. He could have tried to negotiate. He could have tried to be friendly. But he recognized the pattern. These people did not want friendship. They wanted ownership. So he did what a cornered person with a new blade often does. He attacked. The sword moved like it had its own hunger. The animation was faster than he expected. The damage numbers rose like fire. The players who had come to intimidate him suddenly realized they had miscalculated. They ran. He chased. He killed them, one by one. He felt a thrill. Not only the thrill of victory, but the thrill of revenge for every time in his life he felt powerless. And then, in the quiet after, he felt something else, a strange emptiness. Because revenge feels like eating salt when you are thirsty. It gives you a moment of intensity, but it does not satisfy. It makes you want more. He logged off that night and lay in bed staring at the ceiling. His body was tired, but his mind was awake. The image of the sword flashed in his mind. The image of enemies falling flashed in his mind. The praise he imagined receiving flashed too. Then a softer question appeared. The kind of question that can change a life if you let it. If I become powerful and cruel, what will I become when the game ends and I return to my real life? He did not have an answer yet, but he had the question. And the question was the beginning of wisdom. The next day, the game world reacted to him like a tide reacting to a new stone. People heard about the sword. People heard about the kills. Some admired him. Some hated him. Some wanted to recruit him. Some wanted to hunt him. Guilds sent messages like invitations and like traps. He could not stay neutral anymore. Power forces choices. He joined a guild. Not the biggest one. Not the loudest one. But one that felt stable. A group of players who valued discipline. A group that did not laugh at weakness, but trained it. He told himself it was strategic. It was also psychological. Being alone with a rare sword was too dangerous. At first, life improved. He had teammates. He had information. He had protection. But he also noticed something. The guild was a mirror. It revealed human patterns in high definition. Some leaders used kindness as a mask for control. Some members pretended to be friendly while waiting for a chance to climb. Some people helped sincerely. Some helped only when it benefited them. He started watching not only the battlefield, but the mind behind the battlefield. And then the game offered him the next test. The kind that does not appear as a monster. A weaker member of the guild made a mistake during a raid. The mistake cost the team a drop. People became angry. They blamed the weaker member publicly. They mocked them. They demanded punishment. They demanded the leader kick them out. The weaker member apologized repeatedly. Their character stood still like someone who did not know where to put their shame. Our main character felt something in his chest. He remembered his own history. The feeling of being blamed for things you did not fully understand yet. The feeling of being treated like you are disposable. He wanted to defend the weaker player. He also feared looking soft, because the game rewards hardness. And the mind often confuses hardness with strength. He paused. That pause was everything. He realized he was standing at a karmic crossroads. If he joined the crowd, he would water cruelty. Cruelty would become easier next time. If he defended the weaker player with wisdom, he would water compassion. Compassion would become easier next time. He spoke calmly. He said, "The mistake happened. The drop is gone. But if we turn on our own people, we will become a guild of fear." Fear makes people hide mistakes. Hidden mistakes become disasters. The leader listened. Some members complained. Some stayed silent. He continued, "If you want to be strong, build trust. Trust is not softness. Trust is strategy. People who feel safe learn faster. People who feel safe perform better. If you shame someone, you will not get a stronger teammate. You will get a quieter teammate who is terrified." The leader decided to keep the weaker player, but required practice and guidance. The weaker player messaged him privately later and thanked him. The message was simple, but it carried weight, because it reminded him of something real. Compassion creates a different kind of power. Not power that makes others bow, but power that makes the heart steadier. He carried that lesson into the next phase of his rise. And his rise was real. The Hell Sword gave him dominance in duels. His skill made him dangerous in group fights. His mind for tactics made him valuable in raids. He became a name people recognized. He became the kind of player others feared meeting in the wild. But a strange thing happened. The more he won, the more he felt tested. Winning does not end craving. It feeds it. The mind starts demanding a bigger win. A cleaner win. A more dramatic win. The ego wants proof that it is special every day, because yesterday fades quickly. He began noticing the moments when he was most at risk of becoming someone he did not like. It was not when he was weak. It was when he was praised. Praise is sweet, but it can poison you if you drink it like water. He started practicing an inner discipline that looked invisible to everyone else. After each big victory, he took a minute alone. He breathed. He asked himself, did I win with clarity or with hatred? Did I protect others or did I feed my ego? Did I create unnecessary enemies or did I act with restraint? Not because he was trying to be a saint, but because he could feel the cost of losing himself. In the game, a player can become a monster and still be called a legend. In real life, that same habit can destroy your relationships. So he tried to train his mind the way he trained his character. Then the story shifted again, because the game world escalated. A massive guild war erupted. Not just a few skirmishes, but a full map conflict. Alliances formed. Betrayals happened. Spies infiltrated chat channels. People used real money to buy advantages. The atmosphere turned toxic. His guild wanted him to become their spearhead, their public face, their symbol. At first, he enjoyed it. Being needed feels like being loved when you have old wounds. But soon he felt the pressure. Every mistake would be blamed on him. Every loss would become his shame. Every win would become someone else claiming credit. He began to see how groups use heroes the way machines use parts. If you perform, you are praised. If you break, you are replaced. He saw the pattern. It was not only in games. It was in life. So he did something that surprised everyone. He refused certain battles. He refused to fight just for pride. He refused to chase enemies across the map to satisfy the guild chat hunger for domination. He focused on protecting resources, defending weaker zone, helping new members learn tactics, and preventing panic. Some members called him boring. Some called him cowardly. Some said the Hell Sword had made him arrogant. He let them talk. This was the next stage of practice. Letting others misunderstand you without needing to control their opinions. If you can do that, you are already cultivating inner freedom. Then the guild war reached a peak battle near a fortress. Thousands of players gathered. The game lagged from sheer numbers. Effects flashed like a storm. Voices in chat became chaotic. People screamed instructions, insults. In the middle of that chaos, he felt something unexpected. Stillness. Not because he was calm naturally, but because he had practiced returning. He stopped listening to the noise of chat. He focused on the battlefield. He watched cooldown. He watched position. He watched morale. He watched where fear was spreading. He laid with calm. When a front line broke, he did not rage. He redirected. When a teammate made a mistake, he did not shame. He corrected. When enemies taunted him, he did not chase the bait. He fought with the Hell Sword, but the sword did not control him. He controlled the sword. His guild won that battle, and the victor felt different. It did not feel like ego fireworks. It felt like relief, because he had won without becoming cruel. That night, he logged off and realized something. He had been using the game as a training hall, not only for reflexes, but for the heart. Many people think spiritual practice is separate from life, but the truth is that your daily triggers are your practice ground. The moment you feel insulted is practice. The moment you feel tempted is practice. The moment you feel powerful is practice. The moment you feel afraid is practice. This is why the story matters even if you do not play games. Because the game is just a stage. The mind is the real battlefield. But the story does not end with a peaceful victory. A real story always has another test. After the fortress battle, a rival guild leader sent him a private message. The message was polite. Too polite. It invited him to switch sides. It offered rare items, leadership status, and a promise that his potential would be respected. It was temptation wrapped in praise. He felt the old hunger rise. The hunger to be recognized. The hunger to be on top. The hunger to be safe inside power. Then he asked himself the question that saved him again. What is the cost? If he switched sides for reward, he would betray the people who had fought beside him. He would plant a seed of distrust, and that seed would grow. Even if he gained power, he would lose inner stability. He would always wonder who would betray him next, because he would have proven betrayal is normal. He declined. The rival leader responded with threats. He said, if you refuse, you become our target. And that target became real. The next weeks were brutal. Ambushes, camping, harassment, false rumors, attempts to isolate him socially. People wanted to make him angry enough to make a mistake. This is where the Hell Sword became dangerous again, because he could respond with overwhelming violence and humiliate everyone. He could become feared. Fear is addictive. Fear feels like control. But he remembered the earlier emptiness after revenge. So he practiced restraint. He fought when needed. He defended his guild. He protected new players. But he did not hunt for humiliation. He did not chase enemies for hours just to feed ego. He acted with purpose, then stopped. Some enemies were confused. They expected a monster. They found a disciplined player. Some enemies respected him quietly. Others hated him more. Because nothing angers a manipulator like someone who cannot be dragged. Over time, the harassment faded. Not because the world became kind, but because his steadiness made the drama less rewarding. And this is another karmic law. When you stop feeding certain patterns, they weaken. Then something small happened that revealed how far he had come. A new player joined the guild. Low level, nervous, eager to please. During a small dungeon run, the new player made a mistake and wiped the team. The new player apologized repeatedly, clearly expecting humiliation. Our main character remembered himself at the beginning. The feeling of being judged, The fear of being kicked out. The hunger to belong. He said calmly, "It is fine. Everyone wipes. Now we learn." He explained the mechanic with patience. He ran the dungeon again. The new player improved quickly. By the end, the new player sounded more confident in voice chat. After the run, the guild leader messaged him, "You have a strange effect on people. They become better around you." He stared at that message for a long time, because it pointed to the deepest kind of power. Power that turns others into tools is common. Power that turns others into stronger, calmer humans is rare. He realized he was no longer playing only to win. He was playing to practice the kind of person he wanted to be. In Buddhist language, you could call that right intention. Right intention does not guarantee comfort, but it creates a cleaner heart. Now the story moves into the later stage, where the game expands and the stakes rise. New continents open. New raids appear. New gear drops. New systems are introduced. The world becomes bigger, and so does the hunger of players. Many people become obsessed. They forget sleep. They forget health. They forget relationships. They chase the next item, as if it will finally fill the hole inside them. Our main character watched it and felt a warning in his chest. He had tasted obsession before. Obsession is not dedication. Obsession is fear that if you stop, you will be worthless again. So he made another quiet vow. I will not sacrifice my real life for a virtual crown. This vow was harder than it sounds, because the game rewarded constant grinding. The community praised those who never logged off. The culture treated rest like weakness. He began setting boundaries. He logged off at a reasonable time. He slept. He ate. He exercised. He returned to his real-life responsibilities. Some players called him casual. Some mocked him. Some said he wasted his potential. He did not argue. This was a different kind of cultivation. Cultivating balance. Balance is not glamorous, but it is wise. Then he discovered something beautiful. The more balanced he became, the better he played. His reactions were cleaner. His decisions were calmer. His mood was steadier. Rest became part of his strategy. This is also true in real life. A rested mind makes wiser choices. A desperate mind makes impulsive choices. Now, near the peak of his legend, the game offered him one more test, the kind that reveals your heart. A rare event boss appeared, and the drop list included an item even rarer than his sword, an upgrade that could make him nearly unstoppable. Everyone wanted it. Guilds mobilized. Alliances formed. Betrayals brewed. His guild planned to secure it for him, because he was their symbol. They believed his power would protect them. He felt honored. He also felt uneasy, because he knew what happens when people cling to one person for security. They stop growing. They become dependent. Dependency creates fear. Fear creates conflict. He gathered the guild and spoke honestly. He said, "We will fight for the event, but do not build your hope on one drop. Build your strength on practice. If we win, we celebrate. If we lose, we learn. Either way, we remain steady." Some members understood. Some did not. But his tone planted a seed. The event battle was massive. The boss appeared like a living catastrophe. Guilds clashed. Spells exploded. Players died and respawned in waves. At a critical moment, his guild gained an advantage. The rival guilds faltered. The boss' health dropped to the final phase. Then something happened that could have made him a tyrant. A rival team, clearly weaker, got caught in the chaos and was about to be wiped completely. They were not a threat anymore. They were just players panicking, trying to survive. He could have ignored them and focused on securing the drop. He could have killed them to remove any chance of interference. He could have humiliated them for sport, because many strong players do exactly that. Instead, he did something unexpected. He protected them long enough for them to retreat. His teammates yelled in chat, "Why help them? They are enemies. We need the drop." He replied calmly, "If we win by being cruel, we will become cruel. That cost is too high." The boss fell moments later. The drop appeared. The rare item did not go to him. It went to someone else. A random assignment. His chat exploded with anger and disbelief. People cursed the system. Some blamed him. Some said his mercy caused the loss. He felt the sting. Of course he did. He was human. He wanted the item too. But then he noticed something else. His heart was still steady. He asked himself a question. If I had gotten the item by stepping on others, would I feel clean right now? He knew the answer, no. So he breathed and let the disappointment exist without turning it into bitterness. This was letting go in real time. And here is the karmic twist. Days later, one of the players from the weaker rival team messaged him. They said, "You saved us during the event. We do not forget that. Our guild is tired of toxic leadership. If you ever need support, we will support you." That message was not a magical reward. It was cause and effect. Compassion created trust. Trust created alliance. Alliance created stability. In a world full of betrayal, kindness became strategy. This is why Buddhist wisdom is not only about being nice. It is about understanding that wholesome actions create wholesome outcomes over time. Over the next season, his guild became known not only for strength, but for stability. Skilled players joined because they wanted a healthier culture. New players stayed because they felt safe learning. Conflicts resolved faster because leaders practiced calm speech instead of ego wars. And our main character, the one holding the Hell Sword, became something rarer than a top player. He became a steady presence. Now I want to bring the story closer to the heart, because the true ending is not in the game. One night, after logging off, he visited his family. He helped with something ordinary. He listened to someone talk about their day. He noticed he was not itching to return to the game. Not because the game was boring, but because his mind was no longer starving. He realized he had been using the game to heal something in himself. The need to feel capable. The need to feel respected. The need to feel seen. But the deeper healing happened when he learned to respect himself without needing constant proof. It happened when he learned to be kind without becoming weak. It happened when he learned to carry power without being ruled by. That is awakening in everyday life. You might not have a hell sword, but you have triggers. You have moments where you can choose cruelty or compassion. You have moments where you can choose ego or wisdom. You have moments where you can chase validation or return to breath. Every day, you are holding a weapon of some kind. Words, influence, skills, anger, money, popularity, silence. The question is the same. Will you use it to dominate, or will you use it to protect? If you use it to dominate, you may win short-term, but you will plant seeds of fear and loneliness. If you use it to protect with wisdom, you may still face challenges, but you will plant seeds of trust and inner peace. This is karma, not as superstition, but as the long echo of your choices. I want to share a personal style reflection that many people feel but rarely say out loud. Sometimes we chase power because we think it will finally make us safe. We chase top grades, top status, top performance, top popularity, top control. And for a moment, it works. We feel strong. Then the mind demands more. Because safety built on being on top is fragile. Someone can always be higher. Something can always go wrong. The deeper safety comes from a trained mind. A mind that can breathe under pressure. A heart that can stay kind even when provoked. A person who can lose without collapsing and win without becoming cruel. That is what this gamer learned. So tell me in the comments, have you ever felt your ego rise when you gained an advantage? And how did you handle it? Have you ever experienced a moment where compassion cost you something short-term but paid you back in peace? Share your story. Someone else might recognize themselves in your words. If you want more long-form stories like this that turn entertainment into a mirror for real life, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment to support the community. And if you want to support the channel in a deeper way, consider joining the membership so we can keep making content that helps people build wisdom and calm in a world that keeps trying to pull the mind into noise. Until next time, remember this: the rarest item in any world is not a legendary weapon. The rarest item is a steady heart that knows how to let go, choose kindness, and keep walking the path.